Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi, I am Rasmitadila, a researcher and lecturer from Elementary School Teacher Department, Universitas Djuanda, Bogor, Indonesia. Today, I want to talk about the interesting topic. It's about instructional strategy model based on the Brain Natural Learning System, or BNLS, for inclusive classroom. Creating an instructional strategy for teacher, particular in the inclusive classroom, is very difficult. So, instructional strategy is a set of the activity that teacher can create, like teacher management, student management, assessment, resources, learning management, so on, and achieve a goal of instruction. So what is the inclusive classroom? Inclusive classroom is educational service system that arrange all the students just between a general student or a special needs student. They learn together, they discuss together, they play together with different characteristics and the conducive environment, so without discrimination and without exception. But how to create the effective instructional strategy for teacher in the classroom? Just I told before that it's very difficult. So there are some problems that teachers face when they have to teach in the inclusive classroom. What are the problems? Some of the problems that teachers face when they have to teach in the inclusive classroom. For the first point, teacher don't understand characteristic of the student. When the student come to the class in the early semester, teacher don't know how to identify the characteristic of the student. Maybe in their classroom there are some special needs student, but they don't know how to identify the student. And from this situation, teacher don't know how to create lesson plan that involve of the student and they can learn together, and this is very difficult to make a lesson plan. What is the effect from this situation? Teacher make a lesson plan with similar to all the students, and from this lesson plan, teachers don't know how to manage the time. When teacher teach all the students in their classroom, teachers sometimes don't know how to pay attention to the general student and to the special needs student. This is give a bad impact to all the students. As we know that special needs student has a limitation, like maybe in the emotional difficulties, or maybe learning difficulties. So because the teacher make same treatment to all the students, this is very difficult to teacher manage the time in one instruction. So another problem is about the effective instructional method. Because of the classroom, there are many different characteristics of the student. Teachers don't know how to create or choose the effective instructional method. They sometimes use as usual method, instructional method in their inclusive classroom. So from this problem that teachers face in their classroom, we create an effective instructional strategy model. We conducted a preliminary study to more than 30 inclusive elementary schools in Indonesia. We conducted research to special need students, to general students, to the general teachers, to the special assistant teachers and student teacher in higher education that have attention to inclusive elementary school. So from this preliminary research, we have some result from this problem. So we think that we have to create an effective instructional strategy model based on the problem that all the respondents discussed with us before. And we selected and choose one of the approaches from the many of the approaches about how to create instructional strategy model. So we choose the brain natural learning system. Why we choose the brain natural learning system? For the inclusive classroom, with the different characteristic of the student, there are limitations in the movement, in the emotional, in the physically. So this is give an impact to all students what the kind of the instructional strategy that teacher chose or create. So the brain natural learning system is, we think that this is suitable for the effective instructional strategy. We choose from the Barbara K. given about the teaching to the brain natural learning system. We can see that there are 5 learning systems in the brain natural learning system: in the emotional, social, cognitive, physical, and reflective. And we can looking at here that emotional learning system is a place the teacher as mentors. Teacher can build a high motivation to all the student in the early of the activity. So teacher can make a good or conducive classroom. Teacher can invite the student with watching the video. It's maybe about the popular people that have a good habit, or maybe just like a popular softball player maybe. And it's the goal of this emotional learning system, give a motivation and desire to learn to all students. So social learning system is placed as teacher as collaborators. In the social learning system, teacher can make a small group to the student, and each of group, they can discuss together, they can interact together, they can communicate each other, student with student and student with the teachers. One of the difficulties of the special needs student in how to interact, how to communicate each other. So for this social learning system, it's suitable for the special needs student to interact and make communication to all the students. Social learning system is placed a teacher as facilitator. From the social learning system, when teacher make a group to all the students, they can share experience, they can share knowledge, they can make decision to the topic that teacher gave to the student. So the physical learning system train the coordination of physical, psychomotor, and tactile activities for the student. So in this physical learning system, teacher as a coach for all the students. They can make a little movement to all the students, maybe dancing, maybe practice in the putra or etc. And the reflective learning system places the teacher as a talent scout or guide. So teacher make a balance between knowledge and emotion. And in the reflective learning system, from this physical learning system, teacher can understand what is the weaknesses, what is the strength, and what is the learning style from all of the student. And teacher know what the student want to be in the future. So this is a good habit to all the student. So from this, the brain natural learning system, we create the research, and we conducted for 3 years research. And what we conducted in this research. For the first year, we conducted an analysis to around 30 inclusive elementary school, involved the special assistant teacher, general teachers, and student teacher in higher education. From this need analysis, we know and we understand what the teachers want to and how to create the instructional strategy. And at the end of the first years, we got a draft of instructional strategy designed based on the BNLS. And the second years, we trial and revision to design that based on the BNLS, and we got a lot of input from respondent and the government about our draft, and we revise it again. And at the end of the second year, we have a model, a final model from the instructional strategy based on the BNLS. And the third year, we give socialization and dissemination research that we conducted to inclusive elementary school in Indonesia. So this is main design of instructional strategy based on the BNLS in the inclusive classroom. We put emotional listening learning system in the initial of instructional activity. So we divide 3 stages in here in one instruction for the initial instructional activity, main activity, and closing activity. So we put emotional learning system in the first stages for the initial activity. So what is the teacher doing in this stage, in the emotional learning system? Teacher can make class conditioning and matching the relevant and benefit of the learning. So we move to the second main activity. We put 3 learning systems: social learning system, physical learning system, and cognitive learning system. This instructional strategy model is very flexible. Teacher asked me, can I change the sequences between maybe I want to put the social learning system to the second stage, or maybe to the third stage? Yes, this is very flexible learning system. It depends on the characteristic of the classroom. And at the closing instructional activity, we put the reflective learning system at the end of the instruction. So this is main design of the instructional strategy based on the BNLS. And this is how we can implement design of instructional strategy. If we can see at the top of the row, we can put the topic of instruction and the brain natural learning system. What is the kind of the brain natural learning system that we can put in each stages, in initial activity, in main activity, or maybe in the closing activity. And here we have a method, medias, and then learning materials, assessment, and time allocation. So teacher can create all of the material from this implementation of design of instructional strategy. I give you one example from the teacher that create instructional strategy. This is one the example that teacher can create. They can fill off the material here. For the example, for the material or topic of the learning, teacher at the time give the student with the topic me and my ideals. So teacher put the emotional learning system in the initial activity in emotional learning system, and the step or sequence of the instruction. Teacher plays some videos about the popular player, or maybe teacher can create what they can motivate the student. So teacher have to think how to motivate the student, and then the student can think, oh, I want to be somebody in the future. They have a high motivation. Why they have to learn this material of this topic? Teacher can ask, oh, who want to be a doctor? Who want to be a teacher? Who want to be a computer programmer, maybe? So teacher can play the video about the success people who to be a teacher, or maybe for the football player, popular player like Ronaldo, maybe. So with this situation, make the student have high motivation and desire to learn some topic or one topic about that teacher give to them. And teacher can choose the method that's suitable for the emotional learning system, like inquiry or maybe discussion. And teacher can use the media that student can access to the media. And the materials, teacher can choose the material that's suitable for the topic. And the assessment, teacher can create how to assess the student. Then they can answer and maybe give opinion about this topic today. And of course, time allocation is very important to teacher when they have to teach all students with different characteristics in the classroom. So teacher have to choose when she or he have to pay attention to the special needs student, or maybe to the general student, or maybe all of the student. But from this instructional strategy in the main activity, so teacher can make a group so they can learn together. I think it's give a good impact to all the students. So the time is very effective with the creating effective time to the student. So from this research, we conducted interview, we evaluation the research, we make interview to general teachers. General teachers is as a classroom teacher that handle all of the student. What is the general teacher's perspective that they give an opinion about the instructional strategy based on the BNLS? They have there are 6 points that general teachers' opinion about the instructional strategy based on the BNLS. Student learning motivation, student learning experience, psychomotor student social skill, student talent and interest, and teacher's competency. All of these perspectives from the general teachers give a positive impact. For example, student learning motivation from the emotional learning system, general teachers see that all of the students have a high motivation because teacher give a real action and a real picture, real video, and it's close to daily life to the student. So they have a high motivation. Why they have to learn this topic? And for the student learning experience, because all of the students have in a small group, they can share knowledge, they can share experience, and general student give an empathy to the special needs student, and they can talk together. So this is very interesting experience, particular to the special needs student. And of course to the psychomotor student and student social skill. This is very important too, both to the general student and the special needs student. They can interact together. They can communicate each other. This is very difficult to the special needs student when they have to talk to another people. So this is give a positive impact to the special needs student. And of course, teachers' competency. general teacher have to increase their competency when they have to create instructional strategy, how to create effective instructional strategy. What is the competency that teacher have to increase? Just like personal competency, pedagogic competency, and so on. That's the general teacher's perspective. How about the special assistant teacher's perspective? It's similar with the general teachers. There are 5 points from the special assistant teacher perspective that they can give the benefit or maybe opinion from the PNLS. Special needs student learning motivation, learning experience, student social skills, student talent and interest, and special assistant teacher competency. So, for the learning experience, for the example, in the classroom, in the inclusive classroom, for the special needs student, it's difficult how to share the experience, how to share the knowledge to maybe for the general student. But using instructional strategy, this based on the BNLS, give the special needs student time, space to talk, to interact, to share what they're feeling, what they think about one topic maybe or maybe their feeling when they have to learn topic, maybe one topic or some topic that teacher gives them. Another benefit for the special needs student is social skill. This is very difficult too when special needs student have to talk and interact with the general student. So this is the opinion from the special assistant teacher. And how about the student teachers perspective? There are 4 opinions from the student teacher about the perspective: self-regulation, peer relationship, self-direction, and self-concept. So student teacher think that this instructional strategy is very important. All of the student can make motivation themselves when they learn something like maybe different topic, and they have a peer relationship, a good relationship between a student with the student, or maybe like a special needs student and general student. And self-direction, how the student can receive a new knowledge and experience from their instruction in that day. And the self-concept, know the strength, abilities, and talent in the future. So we think that this instructional strategy is a good impact for the teacher, for the student. So this is very suitable for the instructional strategy model that the teacher can create for the future. But when we create and the teacher conducted the instruction, use the instructional strategy model based on the BNLS, there are some challenges that teacher face when they using this instructional strategy. Modification of teaching materials. We realize that this instructional strategy is new approaches for the teachers. So they have a long time to creating materials. We realize it, and teachers still have limitation on making special materials, particular to special need, because it's very detailed in the main of the design that I told before. So another challenge is modification of instructional medias. It depends on facilities and infrastructure that teachers have in the school. And another modification that from instructional medias is about the funding. A school, particular in inclusive classroom, there is no much funding than when they have to build or maybe use facilities or infrastructure for the inclusive classroom. This is very difficult how to get the funding, and there is no resources from the government, of course. And teacher sometimes have limitation to access to technology, and they don't know how to use the technology, make medias based on the technology. So teacher have limitation to access the technology. And another challenge is a modification of instructional method, because in the classroom there are some different characteristics. So teacher don't know how to create or choose the interesting instructional method, because they only use the usual instructional method that they know until now. So this is very challenges for the teachers, and time is one of challenges of the teachers too, because they don't know, they must divide attention to all the student between general student and the special needs student. So until now, they sometimes don't know how to divide the time and make and give the focus to the special needs student or to the general student. And this is the challenges that we conclude from the general teachers, special assistant teachers, and student teachers, that they can give us opinion about the instructional strategy based on the PNLS. So we can conclude that from our research, there are three conclusions that I can show here. That instructional strategy based on the PNLS is more effective and productive for the student and the teachers, because all the students involved and active in the instruction, and provide positive benefit in academic and non-academic aspect for student and teachers competency development. Of course, there are some benefit like how to treat emotional from the special needs student, but this is very in line to how to increase the teacher to develop their competency. And instructional strategies based on the PNLS are suitable, very suitable for the inclusive classroom. So this is our conclusion. From this research, I hope that this is one of the alternative for the teacher how to create effective instructional strategy based on the brain natural learning system in the inclusive classroom. For last, we are thank you to the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology of Republik Indonesia for the research grant, of course, and Universitas Djuanda, Indonesia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for your attention.